Good morning, everybody. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor. Welcome back to Voices for the Voiceless. Another episode here at work. And as the title says, if Chicago doesn't want the help, I wouldn't send any. And as you know, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, is talking about sending the National Guard to see about the crime and the murders. And, he's getting met with a lot of resistance from the mayor and the governor, and not only the mayor and the governor, but just from my experience of going online and on social media, voicing my opinion about the matter because I'm in favor of it. Because I know I got a better idea of what the National Guard really is and what they really do than I think a lot of people, you know, I don't think they really understand. But in any event, you know, a lot of people, a lot of citizens also are against the president sending the National Guard. Somebody finally got a president that's willing to use tax-paying resources of the federal government to help the community, the black community here in Chicago. And you got a lot of people saying, oh, no, we don't need National Guard. We don't need no help. We need this and we need that. Man, all that other stuff we talk about you need, you done tried it. We done had all the funding for these programs for decades. And any given 3-day weekend, you got 50, 60 murders going on. You know what I'm saying? And you could argue that crime is down, but just this past weekend, we had about 60 shootings, about 10 people were unalive. And the last holiday, July 4th, it was 50 shootings. You know what I'm saying? So crime down, the statistics, it ain't down enough, bro. Because people still losing their life. You got cities in this nation that don't have 50 shootings for a whole year. You got places that are like Tucson, uh, Arizona, that is kind of dangerous. And they probably only had like 3 murders out the whole year. And it's a dangerous city. This is a disaster for 10 people to be unalive in 48 to 72 hours in one city. It's a disaster. So, clearly it's been a problem, and the citizens of Chicago, it's just normal to them, bro. It's normal to them. And we see the results in Washington, D.C. Now, Donald Trump deployed the National Guard to Washington, D.C. Now, the mayor of D.C., which is a black woman, Mayor Bowser, she was against it. Like, we don't need this, we don't need that. And then when they deployed the National Guard, they cleaned up the crime. Like carjackings, for example, are down 87% since he deployed the National Guard. It was out of control with carjackings out there. Now it's down 87%. So it hasn't been, I think, it wasn't an unaliving, it wasn't a murder for like 2 or 3 weeks. Then they had their first murder after 3 weeks. So, you know, I haven't heard anything else about anybody else being unalive. But with crime and murders going down due to the National Guard being there, I mean, you gotta acknowledge that. And she went and did a press conference and acknowledged it. Like, yeah, and she signed an executive order to extend the resources of federal government to work hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? Because it's working. They were only supposed to be there for 30 days. Now she extended it with an executive order. So Mayor Bowser acknowledged and gave the federal government and Donald Trump they props. Like, yeah, working with our local police department, man, it's working out because we decreasing crime. Now, by her saying that she's a Democrat, she came up under fire from her own party. The Democratic Party, like, oh, they federalizing your state, and your city, and you this, that, the third, and just attack this woman for putting her citizens' safety first. You know, the National Guard, they went in there, not only cleaned up crime, helped clean up crime, but they also was cleaning up the streets, like all the dirt and filth and bags of trash. They had a super duper homeless problem in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital. They cleaned all them up. Them people were either, given the option to go to substance abuse, courses. They was sent to shelters. Uh, Offered all type of different resources. You know, so it helped them out to help the homeless people that were out. Now, if they didn't want to take the resources, then they would, unfortunately, you got to get off the street or you're going to go to jail. So you're going to either take these resources, you know, or, but you can't be here. This is the nation capital. So all of that has been cleaned up in a matter of weeks. So she extended it with an executive order. Now, the Democrats coming after her for giving Trump and the federal government they props. And they done forced this lady to come out and try to kind of backtrack her statements. Because, midterms around the corner and she want to keep her seat. So now she gotta backpedal her statements. Well, we don't really need, this and we don't need that. And, you federalize and militarizing our streets. So she got to play politics. But that ain't changed the fact she put an executive order in to extend those resources for another 30 days or so. So it's just a shame that she had to backtrack due to pressure from her own party because she obviously made the right decision. This ain't a partisan issue. This is something that everybody should be on board with. But in any event, while she's signing executive orders to, extend federal resources working hand in hand with the federal government, which would be ideally for all, I would think mayors and governors to find a way to common ground to work together, whether you a Democrat or a Republican, come under fire for that. That's why we can't, you say, man, the Democrats and Republicans should work together. You can't. Because when you do, they want to politicize it. It's insane. It's stupid, man. And it's basically on the Democrats, man. Because why would you criticize this lady and make her, put her in a position where she got to backpedal? And I don't even blame the mayor because, she got to play politics, even though she know her first reaction was the right reaction. Yeah, this crime. Look at this. Look at the stats. You know what I'm saying? Look at the streets in D.C. But any of it. So Chicago out here, grandstanding and, the mayor and the governor, they out here, man. They don't. And for me, with the citizens, it seemed like at least half or majority of the citizens are standing with the governor and the mayor on that position. I would say, you know what, Chicago, this is what we gonna do. Because I shouldn't have to be met with this much resistance to help you clean up your streets. You say you need more programs. You say y'all got it under control and crime is down. Listen, we're going to work out a deal. I'm going to give you your federal funding that you say you need for your programs to continue your programs. And within a year's time, if we still have the same level or more crime, then you do it my way. Then I come in with the National Guard. You got a year to clean up your streets. And if you don't do it, but see, at least Trump putting the focus on the crime here It's y'all got to do something about this because it's no way that people should be getting shot at this rate just trying to enjoy a holiday weekend. That shouldn't be normalized. This is not a third world country. We shouldn't have to deal with that. So either y'all get it together. Here go all the funding you need. Now I know people gonna say that's stupid because they already mismanaged the funding. Chicago already at $1 billion deficit. Let them do what they do. Brandon Johnson, you say this what you want, this. Here you go. You got a year. Governor Pritzker, you say you need this, and that. Here you go. Make it happen. You know, because I shouldn't have to. I'm the president. I shouldn't have to be subjugated to all this resistance when I'm just trying to help you clean up your community. And you got people in your community that's saying they don't want it. Do what y'all do, man. You got a year to prove to me that this is what you could do. I'll make it happen. I would. And see people mad. Oh, you militarizing our streets with the National Guard. Listen, the National Guard is basically just gonna come in and secure certain areas, like where federal buildings are at, like downtown. The National Guard just gonna, secure certain areas that'll free up the regular police department so they can go to more concentrated areas. The National Guard is not gonna be roaming the streets in the neighborhoods of Chicago. It's no. Like would they have these violent parties, these massive parties, and these teenagers out here going crazy downtown Chicago? Yeah, the National Guard will be down there controlling that, while the actual Chicago Police Department could concentrate on the neighborhoods. The National Guard, only thing they do is free up the police so they can concentrate on, have more bodies on the streets to focus on the areas that they needed to be focused on. They not gonna come here and try to solve crime or militarize your streets. That's not what the National Guard does. Y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. They ain't gonna help. But we understaffed as far as police, right? We don't have enough police to go around. If it's a major mass shooting like it was on 36 in State Street, down the street from the police station, but it's so many different shootings going on at the same time, the police are stretched thin. But if you got another 2,000 officers that's securing areas, then you got more police to go around and secure these particular areas. It's only common sense. But see, they only against it because it's Donald Trump doing it, man. That's it. They finding all these excuses. I find myself going back and forth with people on social media. I say have at it. Because all that's going to happen is you're going to continue to get the same results. You ain't never heard doing the same thing and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. That's what this is. I will give them their federal funding. Your baby's going to continue to get killed in the streets. Unalived, I'm sorry. You going to continue to deal with all this crime because you're going to continue to do the same thing. Your mayor just signed an executive order. The mayor of Chicago signed an executive order for the Chicago Police Department to not work with the federal government. Trump say he coming. If I was Trump, I wouldn't come. It's just my message to Trump. If Chicago don't want the help, I wouldn't send any. I let them do what they do. I send them all the federal funding they want. You want 800 million? Here you go. Do what you do. In a year time, let's see what the stats are. If you haven't drastically got no, I don't want to even hear crime is down. Crime should be virtually non-existent. If I give you everything you say it, right? That's what I would do. And watch, watch all these politicians pocket that money. Then this gonna show the people what your local government, how corrupt. If you don't see it at this point, that would expose in a year's time. You're gonna be begging for the National Guard. I'm telling you, or you just enjoy living in a violent environment. Some people just enjoy living in violence. It's exciting to them. I don't know, but hey, man, it's your boy Jay Taylor. Man, drop it off in the comment section, man. What you think? If they don't help, I go ahead on to other cities that's willing to work with me. If I was the president, you know, I continue cleaning up the rest of the country, and we'll circle back around. We'll double back later. But right now, man, we got bigger fish to fry, man. I think the state of Louisiana, they on board, and this is another thing. They like to say, "Oh man," like the governor. "Oh man, you know, crime is higher in red states. Hey, why you ain't going to red states?" He'll get there, but make no mistake, these red states, where the crime is at, is blue cities. Like Louisiana, all the crime is in blue democratic cities. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, they all Democrats. So you got a mute argument. You know, you could say, what was another one? What's a good one? Colorado, you got Denver. You know, well, no, both of them blue. But yeah, Tennessee, that's a better one. Tennessee is a red state, but Memphis is a blue city where the crime at. Jacksonville, Tennessee is a blue city. So you can't get around to the fact that the liberal leadership, regardless of the, it all draw back to that. So if I was Trump, man, I would just do what I do, and I give them what they want, and double back on them in a year time. And that way, it should be unanimous at this point, because we don't need no riots in the streets of Chicago because people want to push back against the National Guard. That'll be stupid. The only thing the National Guard is going to do is come in and secure a certain radius where federal buildings are at, i.e. downtown Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Certain federal buildings in the neighborhoods, the majority of it would be downtown. Then that's going to free up the local police department to secure other areas where they are needed. That's all they doing. And then, because we don't have enough police officers, because people want to defund the police and then want to cry about it ain't no enough police officers, because don't nobody want to sign up to be the police. Don't nobody want to sign up to be the police no more. Look how they treat it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you got bad police, but, yeah, just some rotten ones. But the police are needed to control civil unrest.